Okay, I'm gonna sound like a fucking maniac saying this, but just listen. Walt, hear me out. I think the clock out ending is the canon ending of Secret of the Mimic, where Arnold was fucking murdered by the Mimic and stuffed in a prototype Fredbear. After that, the Mimic stayed in MCM since it never got destroyed in that ending, and we see him in that ending, still in MCM in the fucking R&D room. But then, at some point, while possessing prototype Fredbear slash prototype Freddy, I don't know if he got stuffed in a Fredbear and Fredbear was just put on stage, or if he got stuffed into Freddy and M1 just put, or not M1, if M2 just fucking put Fredbear's head on there to finish the fucking robot. Either way, Arnold ended up possessing that fucking thing. Somehow ended up finding M1 slash Fiona, which is the she Glamrock Freddy actually refers to, not Vanny. And in the very end, somehow, either through fucking Fast Entertainment, they build the Pizzaplex on top of MCM after demolishing it. Well, I mean, clearly FNAF 6 was there in between, but no one gives a shit about Henry. He can go fuck himself. Dumbass motherfucker. But after all that bullshit goes down in MCM and the whole area is fucked, Fast Entertainment levels the whole thing and they build the Pizzaplex. And while they're down there, they find the remains of the like MCM subtunnels, the shit where like Jackie and the R&D rooms were. And they end up finding the Mimic, along with a bunch of older stuff. They find, they find Monty and Roxy as well. They find those characters, which is why when the Pizzaplex is built, they just have Monty and Roxy now. They were never ever in a FNAF game previously, and they just spontaneously fucking appear now because they only just now rediscover that the characters fucking existed. They also find the Mimic, and they start since it's a whole company now working to take down the guy, and not one sleep deprived 30-year-old. They can actually neutralize the little fucker. And also, since in the clockout ending, the data diver never left MCM, it's still there. M1 has it, but it's Fazbear Entertainment. They can probably just fucking get it themselves. What's a little shitty robot gonna do? So they get the data diver, they just fucking brute force it and smash his ass with like a steamroller or something. Point is, they neutralize that little fucker, and they start putting him to work. That's the creepy bot that's talked about in the security breach notes that they were using to run Mazer Size in the daycare. After all, it would make sense for the Mimic to want to work in the daycare anyways, because that's where Sun and Moon are. His parents. Okay, listen, just hear me out, okay? Anyways, they start reusing a bunch of old shit, and anything they can't fix, like the old mascot suits or the shitty prototype robots, they chuck those fuckers in a pile, and that becomes the Blob, which is haunted by all the dead technicians that the Mimic fucking murdered, and possibly some other Pizzaplex employees the Mimic might have also fucking murdered. But anyways, after all that happens, they then maybe melt down prototype Fredbear, or just somehow Arnold's spirit got transferred from that into Glamrock Freddy. There's clearly a connection between the two. I mean, Glamrock Freddy has purple attire, and he has purple attire. You climb in his chest, and he's a fucking prototype, just like prototype Fredbear. Okay. Either way, somehow Arnold's spirit gets into Glamrock Freddy, which is why Glamrock Freddy is why he's so much more aware than the other Glamrocks are. Why he crashes on stage when the Mimic bullshit goes down. Okay. Anyways, somehow through some means, the Mimic, while being contained in the Pizzaplex and being put to work, he learns about Afton and he starts acting like Afton. Okay? That's how he ends up becoming Burntrap. That's also why there's that fucking smashed window in the parts service room. The Mimic broke out. Motherfucker did a jailbreak, okay? They were trying to lock his ass up and he got out. And he goes back down to the depths of the Pizzaplex, aka MCM, and also FNAF 6, but again, no one gives a fuck about Henry. He can burn in hell. But he gets down there somehow, and I think because that's his home. He lived there. That is the only home he'll ever know. Okay. He gets down there and he starts being William Afton. Okay. He thinks he is Afton. All right. And well, he doesn't think he is Afton. You get the point. It's the fucking Mimic. Okay. He's the fucking Mimic. Oh yeah. All right. All right. All right. And then when Gregory finds Glamrock Freddy, Arnold, and it would make sense also why Glamrock Freddy would want to help Gregory because I mean, it might not be canon now because it was cut from the game, but there's nothing saying it's possible Arnold was a dad, so it would make sense. All right, okay. So Arnold and Gregory they go down to the pizza box, and it reminds Glamrock Freddy who he is. That she who cleared the path, not Fanny. It's fucking M1. It's the other fucking Mimic. Okay, do you see the vision? All right, and now And then he's like, "Oh, my friends, my co-workers are down here and they're angry and they're pissed off, and that's why the blob fucking attacks the mimic. It's not because it's some vengeful spirit bullshit. No, they reckon that's the robot that fucking killed him. That's the robot that beat their asses. So they find him and they beat his ass. All right, it all makes sense. It all makes sense."